Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Friday, October 5th. This is Jobs Day for September. It's also playoff day for my Atlanta Braves, hence my shirt. Alright, so I had maybe a record day of email pouring yesterday after the analysis and what we were talking about during the course of the show yesterday, what I had on my cheat sheet yesterday, and the underlying current of the numerous questions I was being asked was that we wanted more data. Wanted as much data as we could get about what all this means. What was the debate, performance, potential impact? What was how many people even watch these debates, and how this all comes together? What about the vice presidential debate? That's next. So I spent a lot of time getting some information together for you last night. So here we go. The impact, first off, of the presidential debates. Now, I had mentioned previously that of undecided voters, 75% of them typically identify the first presidential debate as being the most important and one that ultimately ends up influencing their vote the most. So that's at the top. But let's take some things. Now we have new information in. So just how many people actually viewed Wednesday night's debate? The answer? More than at any point in the last 20 years. 67 million. The last time we had as many as 67 million viewers to a presidential debate was in '92, when you had Bill Clinton, George Herbert Walker Bush, and Ross Perot. If you remember, there was a lot of confusion back then, especially Perot. How does he fit into all this puzzle? So anyway, that was the last time. And the interesting thing here was that it's not the most watched debate in recent years. This will tie into potentially the influence of the vice presidential debate. This was completely lost on me. Over the last 20 years, the most watched debate wasn't the presidential debate. It was the vice presidential debate from 2008. I guess the Sarah Palin factor there. But anyway, the Biden-Palin debate of 2008 actually brought in 69 million viewers. So while Wednesday night's debate was the most watched presidential debate, the most watched overall debate in the last 20 years, the Veep debate, which means you can count on a bunch of folks tuning in. Obviously, you have no way of knowing until we get there, but absolutely there could end up being some impact and momentum potentially, as I would say that most objective observers would say, you've got an interesting scenario set up with the policy wonk and whoever Biden is these days. So I would say that if you feel pretty good about the momentum behind the Republican ticket right now, that might continue through the vice presidential debate. And also the overall impact of debates versus commercials. How many of the people that watch any of these debates, what percentage of them are voters? Well, it turns out that over the last 6 election cycles, 94% of all people who end up voting do watch the debates, at least one of them anyway. And of that, 67% of all of us, because remember that 75% number was of undecided voters. If you take a look at the entire pie of the country, 67% of us say the debates at least influence our decision somewhat. That compares to 25% for the commercials. So 92% of us as a country, as voters, say that we're influenced by something, either the debates or commercials. But as we can see, for all the commercials that run, the debates far and away are the single most influential tool that occurs at any point during the election cycle. Alright, now let's get down to the stuff I do on an ongoing basis. President Obama's re-election odds and head-to-head Romney versus Obama. Now, I'm literally going to put an asterisk on my cheat sheet with these today. And so I've got the verbal asterisk working here. The data on these next two stories are completely post-debate. Completely post-debate. So we do not know what it would necessarily look like exactly today. We know what it would look like today based on data from a few days ago. So here we go. President Obama's re-election odds. In part due to a Gallup poll that came in yesterday with a 54% approval rating for President Obama. I haven't seen anything like that in, I don't know, like nearly 2 years. I think since bin Laden was captured, killed. So anyway, but Gallup came in with this 54% approval rating, which raised Obama's approval rating from earlier in the week to from 48% back to 50%. Like I said, this is an asterisk number to begin with. Anyway, that's the same number as last week, which means that President Obama's overall re-election odds, as we're a little under 5 weeks now from Election Day, 79%. If he holds just under a 50% approval rating on Election Day, he will have a better than 79% chance of winning re-election. And what about the actual popular vote today? And again, another pre-debate number. If you take a look at the running average of all of the head-to-head polls recently with President Obama and Mitt Romney, you would actually come out and you throw in the undecided voters. Here's what we saw. We're down to just 4.9% of voters out there saying that they're undecided in these head-to-head totals. That's down another point or so from just last week. And the net aggregate, if we threw in undecided voters that typically break about 75% for the challenger, President Obama would win 50.4 to 49.6. No third-party consideration in this, right? But 50.4 to 49.6 in the national popular vote. So you can see just how actually close this thing really is. And then you throw in whatever the factor is from the debate. We'll have that data next week. It shall be interesting. Plenty more on the physical cheat sheet. I invite you to check it out, including Chattanooga, literally paying techies to move to Chattanooga. You need to check that one out, again, on the physical cheat sheet. That's it for today. Go Braves, and we'll see you Monday.